Hello and welcome to Tim's BMW repairs and information. Yep, we've turned left here and we're in front of my wife's Mini. I know it's a sort of a BMW, but not quite. That's the second Mini we've had. We had a MINI Cooper from 2003 and the headlights weren't too bad on it at all, especially with the Osram Nightbreaker Unlimiteds fitted to it. But this 2010 Clubman is awful. The headlights are truly terrible on it. Dangerously so, in fact. Both the dip beam and the main beam are awful. They're both weak. The main beam bungs out a strange cross-shaped pattern, and the dip beam's so weak that the road disappears in front of you with oncoming traffic. And you can see why with this strange reflector with the corrugated bits and the plain bits. It's just weird. So I'm going to do something which I usually recommend against, which is fitting an LED to the dip beam on an enclosure which would normally use a halogen. Now, to make my chances a bit better, rather than using a cheap eBay LED, I'm going to actually use one from Philips, and these are quite expensive, about £120 in the UK, so about 10 times as much as an eBay one. But at least we got a chance. It's got a decent construction, no fan on it, that's a radial heatsink on the back of it, and it's got a reflector on the dip beam part of the LED, which is there to mimic what happens in a halogen light. Because if we have a look at a halogen light, it just has two elements, one on top of each other, or in an H4, and a reflector at the top. But of course the light is spherical from it. You know, it comes out in all directions, and it's very difficult for an LED to mimic that. But I think Philips has given it a good shot. But before we do anything else, we mark the current beam positions, and to do that, put the car about 4 or 5 metres away from a sheet, and in this case it's suspended between a pair of dustbins and a couple of bricks. All high tech here, you know. And put the dip beams on, and then mark the current beam positions with a Sharpie. And it's very easy to see where the vertical part of it is, and we can just draw a line across that. But the harder bit is finding the horizontal position of the lights, its left and right aim. And it's quite a lot easier with the main beam because it bungs out this strange cross-shaped pattern, and that can be easily marked onto the sheet. And of course, as long as you don't move the car in between doing one and the other, then you'll be able to accurately recreate where the beams are. Now, the horizontal position is important because of these turn-up points, and that's why I've marked the sheet with vertical lines, which shows these turn-up points, which is on the left on a right-hand drive car and is on the right on a right-hand drive car, and that gives us a very good accurate measurement for the horizontal position. Right, well, fitting the LEDs, first of all, obviously we've got to take out the halogen. There's a three-way connector on the back of it, and you sort of wiggle that out, and you do that before you take the clip off. And then the clip just pushes forward, downwards, and then twangs outwards, and you can remove the halogen lamp. And of course, don't get any dirt on them, because if you want to use them again, then any fingerprints on them will cause them to fail prematurely. Now, refitting the LED, we fit it without any of the cabling on. We disconnect it from the rest of the loom and the ballast and so on. It's a bit more fiddly because, of course, it's got this big heatsink on the back of it. And getting the clip round it's a lot harder, and it's also difficult to see what you're doing. And so I found the best way to do it is to mark the major location tab, which is bigger than the other two, with a Sharpie, so you can see straight away when you look from the back of it that you've got it the right way up. And also to use a Sharpie to mark the front face of it as well, because you can see what you're doing a lot better from the front of the glass than you can from the back, because of course your hand's in the way. And then of course you're also got the wire clip to get back on, and that's a lot harder because you've got the heatsink to get past. But you sort of fiddle around and eventually you can get the clip into place, and then you can view the LED from behind to make sure that the Sharpie marked major location tab is upwards, and you can view it from the front to see that the line is at the top as well. And also from the front, make sure that you see that it's landed correctly. And once the LED's in position, we can start fitting the rest of the hardware, and there's quite a lot to fit in there. So once you've got all the sort of wiring ready to go, it's a case of sort of trying to find a room for it inside the light enclosure. There's lots of room, but the important thing, don't get the ballast stuck on the side of the LED, because it'll put weight on it. Right, with the LEDs in and working, we can adjust them. This is the left-right adjustment, the outer adjustment on the headlight. And using the main beam, you can now adjust the left-right position so it sits perfectly where you mark the main beam position with the Sharpie. And then the vertical position is done with the inner adjuster. Both of them are female Allen, and I'm using an Allen bit on the end of an extension. They're not tight at all, so you don't need any wrench on top of them. So yep, spend a bit of time getting them exactly in the right place, and one light at a time. And also check the low beam position as well, because that's most important, because with this amount of light you really don't want to blind someone coming the other way. Spend a bit of time and you'll get them absolutely spot on. So here we are on the road, dip beams, and look at the amount of light that these LEDs are putting out. It's a huge amount of light. I can see the road perfectly, so I'm so much happy with that. And the main beams, wow, look at that. I mean, they're just throwing light out. And at least it's throwing the light down the road, which is much better than it was before. And yes, I'm really happy with that. The amount of light that's being chucked out by these LEDs is truly phenomenal. I mean, there is a huge amount of light coming out. The beam pattern is still strange, but that's going to happen because the reflector's strange. And you can see these sort of crosses being projected out in front. But at least we got enough light now to illuminate all that way down the road. Is so much better, and it's so much safer to drive like this. I'd hate to be on these little lanes with the halogens. You really couldn't see what you were doing. So the light is obviously a lot whiter, 6500 Kelvin, more akin to daylight than to a normal halogen light. It's a nice white colour. But there are downsides, of course, and the kit as used from the box means that when you first start the car, the headlights flash, and that's not a great look. And the other problem is that when you put the main beams on, you get a dip beam error appear on the dash, which is a bit strange. It's the way that the Philips is doing the electronics to the LEDs. They obviously remove all the current from the dipped LED when they use the high beam, so it's obviously failing the cold bulb test here. So I'm going to try one of these, what they call a CanBUS eliminator or whatever. It's nothing to do with CanBUS. It's a light control module, can detect if a bulb has failed. Well, it's an interesting point as we come up to this. You can actually see these strange cross-shaped beam patterns there. Yeah, two crosses that it projects. But of course, with this much light, it doesn't matter what the beam pattern looks like much really, because we got enough light to chuck everywhere. And as I said before, the dip beam works really well. Well, what's all this CanBUS error cancelling got to do with? Well, it's got nothing to do with CanBUS to start with. That's a misnomer that's just been perpetuated by eBay. Since the 80s, all BMWs have had lamp checking systems. And the way they do it is when the lamps are off, and it applies to all the lamps which are monitored, they put a quick pulse of electricity into it. Quick enough so that the bulb doesn't have a chance to illuminate. And they measure the current during that pulse. And they expect to see a current from the lamp if the filament is continuous. So with the halogen in there, it doesn't illuminate and it passes the cold bulb test. The hot bulb test is when the light is actually on, and all it does is measure the current taken by the bulb. And a tungsten bulb will take 2.5 amps for a 55 watt bulb or so, and they have a limit of probably about 1 or 2 amps. Fortunately, the Philips LEDs pass the hot bulb test because they take enough current, and you'll find a lot of the eBay ones don't, and you get hot bulb failures. Unfortunately, the cold bulb test, where they put a pulse of electricity into the bulb, makes the lights flash because LEDs can respond a darn sight quicker than tungsten can. So when you put the key in and press the button, the dip beams start to flash. Now the main beams don't, and that's been the case in all BMWs, that they never put a pulse of current through the high beam in case it gives a misinterpretation of a signal to another driver to pull out in front of them. So the main beams, the high beam, is only tested when the bulb is on. So you never see the high beams flash, you only see the dip beams flash. So the fix of it is to use what they call a CanBUS Error Canceller, which, as I say, it's got nothing to do with CanBUS. Quite often they're just a bunch of resistors in there that mimic a tungsten bulb. They get extremely hot and throw a lot of energy away. And with a Philips LED, which is taking a good 20-30 watts, the additional 55 watts of a resistor means you're pulling close to 70 or 80 watts, and that can melt wires. So rather than just using resistors, which I would never do anyway, I'm using these error cancellers, which got a bit of electronics in it, not a great deal, but some. And I can tell you, don't waste your money, because it didn't make the slightest bit of difference. The light still flashed when I turned the ignition on, and I still got a low beam failure when I put the main beams on. So I'm going to try a PTC device, which I have done on all my other BMWs, and I'll put down in the comments how I got on, whether it fixed the problem. But all in all, I'm very pleased with these Philips LEDs. They don't dazzle oncoming drivers. They bung out a huge amount of light. The car's so much safer to drive in the dark. I'm very happy with them. And as long as I get this sort of flashing problem sorted out and the low beam failure warning sorted out, I'll be perfectly happy with them. And I'll let you know how I got on. But thanks very much for watching, for subscribing, and I'll see you next time.